everybody. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Blazer Victory Podcast. John Duncan here, and of course, I'm joined as always with both of my co-hosts, Darian Smith and Jimmy Marion, and we've got a basketball podcast for you all today. And I know it's been a while since we've done some basketball content, at least on the free feed. But conference play starts tomorrow, New Year's Eve. So kind of turning the page. We're going to talk about UAB finding their edge. What does that mean? Edge, that Andy Kennedy has alluded to really all year up to this point. And also, this podcast is sponsored by Cahaba Brewing Company. And tomorrow, as conference play starts, you can come and hang out with us at Cahaba Brewing Company for our first watch party of the season. We will be having 3 watch parties for basketball, regular season at Cahaba. But hey, 3 o'clock tomorrow, December 31st, Tuesday afternoon. Come on down to Cahaba Brewing Company and kick it with us guys at the Blazer Victory Podcast and some fellow Blazer fans. And hey, hopefully we'll cheer UAB to victory to start conference play off 1-0. And they're going to have some drink specials, some $6 Blazer Victory Pale Ales for pints of Blazer Victory Pale Ale for $6 at Cahaba Brewing Company. So, hey, even if you don't drink, just come on down and hang out with us, watch the game. Hopefully we'll have a celebration at the end to kick off the end this 2024 the right way. But come on down to Blazer Victory Podcast watch party at Cahaba Brewing Company, and we're just gonna have good times, man. And we're gonna spotlight. I just showed it on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. But the Cahaba Blonde, one of the best beers in the state of Alabama, staple in our household. If you have not tried the Cahaba Blonde, go down to the tap room right now or when they're open, and definitely check out everything they have to offer. But you can always go to cahababrewing.com and check out their latest work. Well, all that out of the way, we got a basketball game tomorrow. And UAB, guys, let's face it. Even Andy would tell you this has been a hard season so far for the UAB Blazers. All the talent that they have on their roster, and just the expectations, preseason first in the American Athletic Conference, and just to come into conference play 7-6. Man, it's been tough, but they can right this ship. Conference play starts tomorrow, North Texas. But Jimmy, let's give our listeners. I do see that Darian has left. Hopefully he'll be back. Jimmy, what's going on with UAB basketball so far this season?
Well, I mean, you alluded to it. It's been a challenging year, and it all started off in a far too familiar fashion with the first game of the year at Bartow Arena, resulting in a loss to what we believed at the time was a quality Vermont team, and that unfortunately has not proven to be the case thus far this season. So UAB got off to a slow start, unfortunately, and at the same time, throughout the non-conference slate, has just struggled to find any type of consistency or identity. In my opinion, UAB's been plagued with really just finding the right rotation of guys. We were talking pre-pod about a couple of our guys, even most recently here, that were dealing with some illness. But outside of just that, guys struggling to find their shot from the perimeter, and guys that were selected and receiving accolades preseason that haven't played, admittedly, to their potential yet. And it's just been a mix of a lot of those things. And unfortunately, that's resulted in UAB getting off to that 7-6 start that you mentioned.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, really the lowest of the season was giving up that 27-point lead in the second half to Arkansas State, and we realized that it was a good Arkansas State, basketball team. The same Arkansas State that went to the FedEx Forum and knocked off Memphis with a double-digit win in that building. But also that same game, you saw the highs. The leading by 27, leading by 25 at halftime. So we've seen the high and the really low, and I don't know. It's just hard to describe. Let's talk about finding their edge. And Darian, welcome back to the program. I feel like a sports talk host. But Darian, what exactly do you think that edge Andy Kennedy has been referring to the lack thereof with this team so far?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't know. So we have, how many games are we in now?
13.
13, yeah.
13 games in, and sometimes I feel like in the past seasons I've had a better feel of, okay, we need more toughness, rebounding, 3-point shooting, spacing, all of these things. With this team, I don't know. Like, because we came in, maybe it's because of the position that we came into the season with the expectations and the pieces that we already had in place, and we naturally say, okay, you have a foundation, we got these pieces to build on top of it. But I don't know. I guess it's like an engineer when you have the blueprints and everything shapes up right. Everything is right. It's like all the math is correct. All the formulas are correct. Everything adds up. And then it's kind of like, this ain't going right. This is sloped wrong. And I don't know what's going on. Like, it's breaking on this side. I'm like, I can't tell you. I don't know, man. I don't know. And this is where it becomes more than me the eye with teams. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, or I don't know the internal fortitude of some of these guys. I don't know how driven, or I don't know how much of a leader. I don't know how much of a cancer certain guys are. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and for some reason, in the games that have been, the competitive games against good teams, we have come out on the losing end. For whatever reason, we can't finish those games. I don't know if we're closer to figuring it out or farther away. I don't know what we can gain from the SWAC teams in those blowouts. So I'm not going to sit here and BS you guys. Most of the times when we get on here, we have a good feel. We watch the games, we have a good feel, and we give analysis. This is probably the first time football, basketball, in between. I remember in basketball, we used to hop on the spaces. Like, we were so ready to give an opinion, and, we hopped on spaces at halftime. Like, man, we need to see this, man. But I don't know. I feel kind of like I'm not bringing anything to the table, but you can look at the games, and I think you can ask any Blazer fan. I think you can ask Coach Kennedy. And I think everybody has kind of hit you with I just hope they play better in this game. Like, some games, Butter Johnson is 3 for 5, 4 for 6 from 3. Next game, he can't really hit something. Like, it's just been a lot of inconsistencies from each player. It seemed like the only consistent player we have on the team is Jax. I feel like against the SWAC teams, it kind of take it down a notch. But against any competitive team, he's the only guy I feel like that's probably showed up every game. Every game, I feel like he showed up against the Middle Tennessees of the world, right? But everybody else has kind of taken their turn saying, for whatever reason. We've seen it with Christian Coleman a couple times. We've seen it with Jabari McGee. I'm saying all this to say I'm coming back to the same old thing. I guess it's just inconsistencies. And why are the players having these inconsistencies? I cannot tell you. I can't tell you. So I think Tyron Moore is a good example of that. He's probably one game he looked like Jordan Walker. You know, he looks like jelly. The next game he has like 2 points on 1 from 8 from 3. So I don't know, man. Maybe you guys can help me understand, but I have no answers for you.
Yeah, I don't know either, Darian. And another name to toss into that is AJ Vasquez. I mean, where has he been? We look at late last season, the 2023 to 2024 season. AJ Vasquez was consistent down the stretch. Butta Johnson was consistent. Yax consistent. Christian Coleman consistent. I don't know the offense just looks awkward at a lot of points in these ball games, and I do take out the SWAC games, and much respect to those programs, but UAB did what they were supposed to do. I mean, you beat a SWAC team by 20 plus points, good job, but you lose to a Middle Tennessee team, you lose at High Point, obviously you lose to Arkansas State again this year. And you blow a 27-point lead. This has been the weirdest season, or our first half non-conference play. This is the weirdest UAB basketball team that I have ever seen. And to have these high expectations and then players just kind of look around clueless at points, and we see Andy Kennedy very verbally frustrated, yelling at them, but it's just not clicking, and I don't know what the deal is. Jimmy, do you have any insight, or do you just in agreement with us that, hey, we don't know?
When I think about playing with an edge, I think about forcing your style on the opponent. As an example, on the defensive side, when I'm thinking about when UAB switches things up defensively, they go to that 1-3-1 that can be feast or famine. To do that, you've got to get in passing lanes, deflect balls, get out in transition. And I think about when you're manned up, being able to stay in front of the ball, like you're able to force your style. On the offensive end, I think about playing through contact, again, getting to the line, which is something that UAB does really well. Offensive rebounding. It's a lot of like you think about the things, the formula that UAB has to do to be successful with a lack of outside shooting. It's sort of like, the dirty work, the hard stuff. And I think that you've got to have a certain kind of mentality to want to win basketball games that way. And you look at a team like North Texas historically, that plays, lockdown defense and holds opponents to low scoring and, limits possessions and does this. Like, they've got a lot of guys that are going to play a certain kind of way. And I think that UAB's got to unlock that potential from a few of these guys to be willing to play with that quote unquote edge for UAB to have the formula to win games. And that just hasn't been there as consistently. And I think a lot of that boils down to a couple of things, in my opinion. One is just, I think you have that repeat factor of like you won the championship and then you've got the off season. Like, how do you mentally get yourself like up for the next challenge? You see it with championship contending teams from time to time. And, there's been chatter from the players themselves about maybe overlooking opponents. So you combine what has been strength of schedule wise to be like a weak non-con in a team that was coming off the high of an NCAA tournament appearance in the championship. And it seems like just early in the season, they may have overlooked a team like Vermont early. And took a loss. And then you combine the lack of the outside shooting, and it's just been something that's like cratered, and they haven't been able to like bounce back. They've had many opportunities to defeat worthy quality opponents. People may not respect or understand the quality of like a High Point or even a team like Longwood. I think that won their league and went to the tournament. MTSU is historically a good basketball team. Program, and Arkansas State, we talked about them early on, how good they are, and it's just been like a snowball factor this season. But ultimately, if UAB is going to turn around their season, and if they're going to be able to have the conference slate that they want to have and to compete for a conference championship, they're going to have to lock in and find those intangible components to play with an edge, starting with a team North Texas that is going to give them everything that they want and is going to play exactly the way that Andy Kennedy would want his team to play defensively, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, go ahead, Darren.
I know Jimmy. I know I started thinking you was talking about like forcing your play style, and along with that goes personnel, and maybe we just don't have the personnel to, efficiently deploy that 1-3-1 like we did last year. Last year, I think the biggest reason for that would be I'm going blank. What was our point guard last year?
Eric Gaines.
Yeah, Eric Gaines. I was going. Thank y'all. I go blank here and there, but think about the 1-3-1 kind of fits exactly what he is as a player. If you're doing a 1-3-1 and you're talking about getting in passing lane, using athleticism, quickness, and burst to get your hands on the ball, it highlights all of the strengths of his defense. He's a wiry built kind of guy, so he struggled with those thick, like those. I hate those type of guards. The guy, I'm like, dude, you're a 6'1" guard. Why are you bagging like the Charlotte guard? Like, why are you putting that guys in the post? But yeah, he struggled against guys like that, like those. But as far as like highlighting everything that he's good at on the defensive side, the 1-3-1 was it for him. Him and Tyron Moore, or I would think that Jabari McGee, fit that mold, but I don't think too many guys has the burst that Eric Gaines has. But for whatever reason, it just I don't know if we have one around the margins. As far as when it comes to things like getting hands on balls, boxing out, getting rebounds, being physical, making shots. That's making an open shot, not a shot that was generated. The play was generated well. I know this sounds simple. It's like, yeah, of course it's basketball. You got to make more than you miss to win the game, but it's hard to get an open shot. Just knock it down, and we don't knock down shots consistently, right? So, for whatever reason, it's just you don't know what you're gonna get that day. But also, it's like offensively. I mean, do you guys know where we score from? Like, what players score from where, right? Like, last year we knew who we're gonna dump it down to in the post, kind of like where what are the spots we knew Butter was gonna eat in that mid range area. You just kind of knew where we could go to. If it came down to the end of a game, we knew some of the actions that we could go to and be confident in that. If you watch Golden State, right, in their heyday, or if you watch the Boston Celtics now, you know where they're trying to score from. I cannot tell you about this UAB team. Honestly, it's kind of like we out there just trying to cook. I mean, pass it to the high post. I don't know, guys. This is what I'm trying to say. Is like I'm not confident in it sounds good to put Yaks at the high post by the free throw line at the elbow, maybe. What action are we running off of that? Who are we trying to get in position to score? What are we trying to do? Like, I can't really tell you. Maybe I need to just look at film more I don't have confidence in anything, is what I'm saying. It seems like Christian Coleman, kind of his confidence it goes up and down. He finished the year really strong. He had some points in the beginning. I remember us talking about him like, man, if he just developed this, if he can do that on offense, like if he can get a jump shot, but like toward the end of the year, it seemed like he kind of figured out where he can score from and what his strengths were offensively. Now, sometimes I look at the game, I'm like, dude, are you in your head? Are you regressing some on that? Like, are you overthinking it? I don't know. Like, I feel like Bradley Esguero is another guy that I feel like is competition based sometimes. I feel like he feasts against these guys that, are a little step down in competition. What do you do against a 6'10", 255 guy, pound guy with some you can't just bully him. Do you have enough finesse? Can you put some post moves on him? I don't know. I haven't seen that. I've seen them finish just try to finish strong and finish over guys. So I'm trying to figure out what this team is. The best thing is that, conference plays up on us, and who's better to go against than a North Texas team that's going to play the same style. I feel like they can get any coach, they can get any players, they can get us on the team, and they're going to play the same style because it's just North Texas, man. And you can kind of, through these games, you can figure out who you are. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Either way, we're going to need to win the tournament to get into the to get into the
you ain't gonna get in that
anyway.
large.
Like all of that is over with. It's not a bid. We have to get the tournament bid to get in, guys. So what else? I don't care. It's like we might as well figure it out now. When by the time we get to conference tournament, that we're peaking. So that's my only hope. But I would never. We can have a losing record. I would never give up on this team because we got Andy Kennedy as a coach. Right. And he's proven. I don't know what you need from this guy, but he's proven in the past that if there's anybody that can get a team peaking at the right time, it's Andy Kennedy. I just hate it. I just hate it for the fans, and I hate it for the league because I felt like this was a good year for us to have multiple teams in, and I just feel like of all teams in the conference, UAB hands down has been the biggest disappointment of all teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were talking about shots earlier, Darian, and I forgot the exact percentages, but AK talks a lot on his pre and post game, media outlets about clean looks, and he tracks clean looks. And he was talking about, I think it was after one of his games. Normally, his teams are somewhere. I think his good teams are somewhere around like in the mid 50% in clean look converting. And this year, I think he was like. The team was somewhere like 35, 36%. So, I mean, it was like a very big difference. I mean, that explains a lot about why, UAB's record is what it is. And, we talked about style of play earlier and looking at some of the, specialty stats. As an example, when UAB wins the points in the paint battle, they're 6-2 this season in comparison to 1-4 when they don't. Or you look at points off turnovers, another statistic in which UAB, when they win that category, they're very successful. When they don't, again, they're 0-5. So, you look at some of those specialty stats, and when UAB's not successful winning the points in the paint battle, when they're not successful winning points off turnovers, that's going to lead to negative outcomes.
That's right. And too, like, I just feel like right now at this point, the UAB basketball team just aren't doing the little things right. I mean, you hear Andy Kennedy post game, frustrated, like even Yax isn't where he needs to be posting up at times in these ball games. And he said like Yax is posting way too low. He's almost standing out of bounds. It's just the little things that UAB can clean up and make this offense more efficient and more open looks and make those open looks. And I mean, we're talking completely different today heading into conference play. But you better get this one tomorrow, North Texas. And I guess that's a great transition to previewing this game. North Texas hosts the UAB Blazers New Year's Eve, Tuesday, 3 p.m., televised on ESPNU, but we certainly hope that you'll join us at Cahaba Brewing Company for our watch party. And, we've said it. This is the same North Texas, some different faces, but same North Texas, slow tempo, really good on defense. I don't know, for those that listen, they held freaking Minnesota to 14 points in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what that Charlotte guard there. You mentioned the Charlotte guard. That's where he went, was yes. Minnesota.
Yes. It's a very, if you're on the other end, very frustrating style of basketball to watch, which even more reason to join us at Cahaba. But like they've only got, they're 9-3 coming in this matchup. Their 3 losses are to High Point. They lost at High Point as well. They lost to a really good Utah State team, and their third, I had it up earlier.
McNeese.
McNeese, yeah, the team UAB was supposed to play with in that tournament earlier on this season. So teams have gotten North Texas, but I mean they've got really quality wins. You know, Minnesota, Oregon State, Northern Iowa, App State, which is a good Sun Belt team. I mean, this is going to be tough. Now, luckily, UAB did beat North Texas both times last year. And remember that overtime thrilling game in the Super Pit last year? UAB had to come back. UAB came back from like a 14-point deficit at halftime or something like that and forced overtime and then had the win. So it's tough, but it can be done. And this is a game, starting conference play, that can help catapult you to forget earlier games in the season, the way things have gone so far, forget it. If you win this game, create momentum, catapult you in to conference season, and let's get one of those top 4 seeds in the AAC tournament and, you know, win 3 games in 3 days and you're dancing again. You know, that's what you have to play for now. But a win tomorrow against North Texas will be huge for this basketball team.
Yeah.
Darian?
And we talked about, I just remember I keep on getting flashes from last year, and we talked about a lot of times with games like against the North Texas and against the FAU, 2 different styles of basketball, right? We knew FAU like to fly, they run up and down, they get shots up. Well, North Texas was completely opposite. And one thing we knew that it forced our team to do was find our identity and play discipline. Like we talked about that all the time. Play discipline. You're going to have a game plan and execute that game plan. And we didn't know if the team had enough mental fortitude last year to actually get that done. That was our main gripe. And I feel like we're kind of back in the same spot. One thing I can say about this UAB team, especially against North Texas, is when we get a lead, it can be a 12, we blew a 27-point lead. We can get up 15 points or whatever. I don't trust it. I do not trust it. What is our identity when we're up? Let's say it's 7 minutes left in the second half and we're up 9. What do we do? Are we already trying to play cover 3? Like, you know, like, are we already trying to play, everybody get back and just stay back and just play conservative ball as far as like, so in the way you do that in basketball is do you try to slow down the pace and, you know, make sure you run the play and get all of a sudden they get a steal, they get deflections, they get out on fast breaks. I want us to just, hopefully these games, win or lose as we go through them and we play different styles, we play quality opponents. I want us to learn who we are, because I've come back to this and nobody knows who we are. I don't think the coach knows, the players don't know, the opponents don't know. Nobody knows who we are. So hopefully these games can be used. I am not looking at them in a perspective of the final result. I'm looking at them as the same old spot we was in last year again. I was preaching this. I was like, y'all, it's about the process at this point. Like, it's about the process and how are we getting better? And I believe Coach Kennedy, that's his strength of that. John, like when you were talking, I was just thinking, I was like, in the first half before you transition, I was thinking like, well, it's just a death by 1,000 cuts. I think that's how we lose every little battle around the margins from not converting those open looks to Yaks not posting in the right spot to, you know, all of those, like the turnovers, the 1-3-1, I feel like we famined more than we feasted, you know, this year. So I think all of those things that all of a sudden it just mounts up and then you blow a 27-point lead. It's not one thing is what I'm saying. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And a lot of times as a player, you don't notice those things. You're just like, man, it happens. It's ball. Man, it happens. It's ball. But if you do this enough, it's kind of like, hold on, man. Like, wait, we didn't miss that. We missed that shot. We missed this shot. We turned it over. It was a miscommunication here. That happens. Oh, we allowed a tip in right here. That happens. And then you looking around this, and if it's enough that happens, it's kind of like, well, damn, we lost the game again. Well, how did that happen? Because that happened. That happened. That happened. And it happens too much. It can be on different things to where you're not picking it up, and then you look back at the game, and then you're saying, what happened? What happened? Well, you stop looking for one thing and look at everything, is what I'm saying. And I think we're kind of losing here and there on everything to the point where we don't really know what it is. But I mean, I guess that's where we at, and hopefully we can sure up those. Like North Texas will definitely put you to the test at that. Hey, what you want to work on? You think you're going to be loose with the ball or careless passes? They're going to get deflections. You got to make whatever shot you get that's open because they're going to slow down the pace. You got to convert higher than 35% on open looks. Have to. Don't see how you win the game against North Texas if you don't. I mean, you're just not going to have enough opportunities. Like, tell me where they come from. I mean, and then we know they're going to hold the ball. They're going to run their plays. And for what it's worth, they're probably not a dynamic offense. But one thing I've always known about North Texas, they convert their open looks. They don't get many open looks, but when they do, they knock them down. We're going to have to, I don't know, we're going to have to do something. Now that I'm talking about it, I don't even know where my confidence is in us in this game. But I do know that we can beat anybody. It's all about how we execute. And that's the problem. I don't know how we'll execute. So we'll see.
And this is going to be like way oversimplifying something, but obviously the battle at the free throw line is going to be important. UAB is going to draw fouls. I fully expect North Texas to pack the paint, and if UAB can't hit a shot, from outside, it's going to be a foul fest. I think both teams are going to be at the line. I think both teams have to go deep into their bench. And UAB is going to have to convert at the free throw line. I was looking at the games last year, I think one of which UAB went 26 of 31 from the line. I think that was at the home at Bartow. And then on the road in that overtime game, UAB went 21 of 24. This year, UAB is shooting, it looks like 74% from the free throw line. In both of those games, it was like 87 and 84% from the free throw line. UAB is going to have to convert at a higher clip than they have in their games thus far in non-conference play and still get that same type of volume to win this game, in my opinion. And we can't have one of those games where I feel like this season has happened a couple of times where we go to the line and then someone misses two in a row to start the game. We can't have that get contagious and for us to miss free throws. We've got to be getting to the free throw line, which is what UAB has always done under Andy Kennedy. And we've also got to be converting at probably at least 80% from the free throw line with probably, at a minimum 20 attempts, hopefully 25 attempts from the free throw line, if not more.
Yeah, and what do you have to do to get to the free throw line? You've got to be physical. I want to see this UAB ball team be more physical than North Texas. You got to beat them at their own game. You got to take it to the rack, finish through contact, and man, if UAB can do that, then I do like it. It would not shock me to see, come Tuesday night, UAB win in the Super Pit. It also wouldn't surprise me to see UAB get their teeth kicked in and lose by 12 to 15 points at the Super Pit. Which UAB program are we going to, or basketball team are we going to see tomorrow? And Jimmy, you scared the hell out of me because I remember at High Point, I think we missed like our first 4 or 5 free throws in that game. And miserable. That set the tone.
There's been so many close losses, and UAB has not converted at the same rate that they have in the free throw line. And that's what's frustrating is that margin for error is so thin, right? And then UAB has just had too many things where it's been shots around the basket and missed free throw opportunities where it's like, man, if you're shooting at that same percentage, even at the free throw line from last year, that 7-6 record looks a lot different.
And I don't want to hear no like disrespect the opponent or overlook the opponent. You know, when you see that white and that ugly shade of green from North Texas, and you know Yax has mentioned, hey, this is like, I guess, a rivalry. You know, these two programs do not like each other. There's a mutual respect, I think. It's not like a UAB Memphis thing. I think this is a respectable rivalry between both programs, but that don't mean you don't have to like them. UAB, take it to them. Yax Lindenborg, take it to the paint. Don't post up on the out of bounds. Post up where you're supposed to. You got to throw a little elbow every now and then. Hey, finish through contact. Position. Let's go.
I think Jimmy mentioned like also like foul trouble and going deep into the bench. I if y'all can recall, because I could be getting it mixed up. Didn't Will Shaver play some like important minutes in the Super Pit last year, and where he was kind of, I don't know. So. I could be getting it mixed up with Charlotte, but I remember him getting into the game. I'm like, okay. I remember kind of texting like, okay, Will, like, all right, I see you, you know. And I think that was against North Texas. He played some pretty good minutes because we were in foul trouble. So if that's the case, like, what does our bench look like, right? Like, who can come in? Where's Greg? Is Greg Gordon still, you know, part of the team, or is he sick, or what's going on there? Because our rotation has been cut. And so when we go deep into our bench, do we have enough? Because in North Texas, trying to play physical, those fouls, they can mount up, and we need bodies. We need capable bodies. And I do remember last year, it just made me think about Will Shaver. I remember him coming in. I think he blocked the shot, like had a and one. He probably missed a free throw, I think. But, you know, like just little stuff like that. And we were happy to see his performance.
Well, you look at North Texas. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of them play, so take it for what it's worth. But you're looking at KenPom, and you look at their major significant contributors and their limited role guys, and I'm seeing a lot of 6'9", 215, 6'3", 6'1", 6'1", 6'6", 6'5", and then in the limited role category, they have a 6'9", 245 and a 6'9", 220. I mean, so it doesn't at least appear on paper. I'm not sure what their entire situation is, but you would think it's a team that, I mean, they're going to play tough. Their guards are going to play tough. They're all going to play tough. But in terms of enforcing your style with a Yaxel Lindenborg and with a big Brad down low, if you have to bring Shaver in as well, like those are guys that should be able to, you know, use force in the paint and finish through contact, like John said. And Christian Coleman's not, you know, a thick, you know, guy, but at the same time, like he can slam it on you and get, you know, buckets in the paint too. So hopefully all of those guys are ready to have a big game, because that, what do they say, like the battle within the war? I mean, it's going to be a straight up battle, points in the paint all night long, free throw line, and whoever is able to come out in those categories is probably going to win this game. Offensive rebounding is always going to be important, but you know, those things, the playing that type of style is probably what it's going to take to win. Of course, if Tyron Moore comes out and hits 5 threes tomorrow, you know, that could just change the complexity of the whole game, right? But outside of somebody getting hot like a heater from outside of Vasquez or Tyron Moore, but you know, you're going to have to win this game doing the hard things.
Yeah, you're going to need Moore, Butta, and then and Vasquez to hit a couple threes at least, to kind of, because you know, Jimmy, like Jimmy said earlier, they are going to pack that paint. And the only way that you can get them to kind of spread out is to knock down outside shots. So let's hope that they've been working on that heading into this ball game. But guys, come on down to Cahaba Brewing Company, 3:00. Watch the game with us. Have a good time regardless of what happens. But we certainly hope that UAB can right the ship and get a big win to start off conference play, and let that momentum take into this Saturday in a tough home game against Tulsa. And then you win that, you're 2-0, and then your Tulane comes to town. Hey, this ship can be righted really quick, but we're going to need a really great performance at the Super Pit come tomorrow. Shout out again to YouTube. Comment below. What do you think is going to happen? UAB at North Texas. Comment below if you're not subscribed already at Blazer Pod. Subscribe, like the video, but comment and let us know what you think is going to happen in the Super Pit come tomorrow. Patreon, we've got great UAB football recruiting coverage on the patreon.com/blazerpod. Hopefully at the end of this week, we'll be able to send out another update as far as UAB football recruiting. But on that note, Jimmy, you want to go ahead and send us out until next time?
Hey, we appreciate everybody for tuning in and listening. We hope to see you at Cahaba. Have a great week. Go Blazers.